So yeah, as you can see... Oh my, was that 300k for a plunge? Hello and welcome guys, we are back into Genshin Impact and today we're going to play some Spiral Abyss. Now, the thing about this Spiral Abyss is, unlike usually where I just kind of like record my first impression of the new Abyss, this one has been a bit more puzzling to me. It has been like here for a while now, and I'm just very conflicted about it. The biggest problem is, my initial teams that I wanted to showcase were not good enough, and first chamber is very difficult actually. A lot of the opponents here have a lot of HP and you have kind of multiple waves to the point where it eats a lot of your time away. Even if you have like sufficient DPS, it turns out very hard to get everything that you want in time. So first half makes everything much more difficult, and then second and third are really not as hard. First half on both of them are really a joke. If you like look at the enemies and you look at like the wave formats that you get, they're really a joke. But the biggest problem are the second bosses, which I've already covered in a previous video. But if you have Zhongli, it makes it ridiculously easy. But if you don't have Zhongli, those battles become insanely hard. Essentially, the biggest problem with both of these battles is that you need something that's really good at breaking geo shields. And to do that, what you need are blunt attacks, which usually you get from Claymore characters, and you get a lot of them from Zhongli, and you get a lot of them from geo characters in general that are good at that. But like even blunt attacks from Cleat Charge Attack does count for that. Another method you can do that is from Overload, so Chevro's Overload does work rather well in here, but just for the sake of showcasing, I thought what would be the most fun to showcase, and I figured I might as well kind of like rush through first half to just kind of showcase my Shilonen build, and like we kind of will get to see that, and then on second half, I would have a solo team that does not include Zhongli, because Zhongli makes these two battles insanely easy, and I don't want to showcase that because of how kind of like it blinds me from other people who don't have him, and kind of like trivializes the content for me, which I know some other people will struggle with that if they don't have him, because he really does make those battles that much easy. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so for healing bonus, yeah, I'll take that. That's actually going to be pretty good. So for first half, we are going to have a rather simple team of Aggravate with Shilonen. The thing that makes Shilonen so great in this Aggravate comp is the fact that I am able to much more easily get the resistance shred that I want, for the sake of my dual DPSs in Klee and Miko. And it also makes it a lot more easy to get buff that you need from something like Swirl, because you do get the 4-piece bonus set, which we will get to later. That is very good to put on a Shilonen. You get that one, and it is much more easy to get it on Shilonen to activate properly than it is on someone like Kazuha. So in that sense, she is pretty good. And now I'm just going to do my normals on Nahida to finish him off. And yeah, not the cleanest clear I would have wanted. I did fall just a shy below clearing it in 1 minute, but I'd say that's fine enough. Second though, it's a bit more challenging. This is, I would say, the much harder part of this. And for here, it's mainly just if I can get swirls happening. If I can, not swirls, if I can get vapes. If I can get vapes happening, then I'm just going to lose a lot of DPS. That's just naturally what happens when you play this build, when you play this team. You just find ways to lose DPS. Especially just, I lack ER on my characters, and I need to wait a bit. Yeah, you see now I fucked up and I don't have vapes anymore, so I need to rely on Furina vaping to get the damage that I want. We get rid of the one of them, but not the second one, which is going to cost us time, but considering we still have about a minute left in here, we should still be rather fine. And I'm just going to try to get some energy on Shinyun before going for another cycle. surely that's going to be enough. It is. And now we are going to try and do some plunges for what should hopefully be some really nice damage. And while plunging, we are also able to break their shields. And yeah, as you can see, I'm already struggling with uptime. The lack of ER really screws me over and a lot of times here. So not having that just really sucks a lot of the time. Yeah, and I am really struggling right now, but I should be able to still get the clear. Thankfully, again, this team, Furina is so good, to the point where her damage by herself can't do quite a good chunk. But a lot of the damage in this team still relies on me vaping a lot of my plunges with D-Look. So, yeah, the lack of DPS unfortunately does happen sometimes. Generally speaking, I do like to start with Miko here, because getting her uptime early is good, but I don't know, like easier crystallize does happen if you use Fischl first, so I'm really still not sure about which one I prefer more between the two. So for now I'm just kind of like experimenting on what I like more. But I seem to have lost a lot of HP on Miko, so I'm going to ult on Shilonen to get that HP and get that healing going, and that was a fairly fast clear, I would say. Not the best, but not bad either. I should probably just switch with Furina to the healing, and then I can do just lunges. Not really care about what is happening. And I'll just kind of like wait until I can get an attack cycle going on him. So I'll wait for him to go into another attack. And now I can do this, and I can switch. And how do I not have energy? That is embarrassing. I should have probably waited a bit more, but yeah, look at that. The plunges can be pretty good, but I think the biggest problem that I had when I was trying to test things here was the fact that I did my setup too late. So what I want to do essentially is to get energy on everyone first, and once I have energy on everyone is when I can use my ults just when he is close to dying, and then I can start plunging, and when I break him I should have easier time, except for the fact that Furina uptime is dead. I'll try to break him, but yeah, this run is currently not going super well. A lot of it has to do with probably Furina just not getting the energy that she would want. Okay, and now let's get into the break. And now we can start doing all of the setup. Get things going. And we do not have much time left. But if we get everything right, I feel like we should be able to clear this. Surely? Come on! Oh, we're so close! Oh my god, that's gaming. That's gaming. That's the power of this team. Oh, that was very nice clutch gaming right there. Again, the biggest problem is that you need to get all of your ults before you break, and then once you break, you can start plunging. And then once you start plunging, you can break. I think that's the better setup. For now, let's try the other setup, which is to start with Miko first, so that way her uptime, like she already starts to attack, and that way you don't feel as bad using your ult. And now I can just normal on Miko to try to achieve as much damage as I can. And we'll get it done. Very nice. Yeah, this first half is very laughable. But the biggest problem is this one. You really don't have many methods to break him. So with this one, it's most of the time you just kind of like want to attack as much as you can to try to get the shield down, and same thing. Once you get close to having the shield down, you can start unleashing everything. And I died. That was embarrassing. I in normal instead of E there, which I think just happened from me spamming, so unfortunate, but hey, that can happen. And once again, we're just going to try to get him down. And we'll dodge these things, so that way I don't need to go to Furina for the heals, for the emergency heals. And once we're getting him down enough, we can start using all of our ults, get the setup done, and start plunging. So yeah, as you can see... Oh my, was that 300k for a plunge? Okay, I'll take that. I was about to say we can do like 200k from what my testing usually would go for, because I have not looked at the numbers for this run. So I'll just do that with the 200 seconds of animation from Deluxe ult. And once again, we're just slowly but surely chipping away at his shield. Trying to get it down as much as we can before going and unleashing our ults. And now is a good time for it because he's about to go down. Yep. There really is not much left to it. And break it. And that's a boom. 200 and very nice. Again, the damage on this team when everything lines up is so high, it's ridiculous. That was a very nice clear. I thought I was able to kind of like showcase a lot of the quality of this team and kind of like the interesting stuff. But let's go over the builds real quick and then we'll talk about the Abyss and some tips that I would like to give. So first of all, we had Shilonen. She's on a Fab Sword, 4-piece on the hero set. We're looking at mainly I'm focusing on crit rate, defense percent, and ER. So we have defense healing bonus. We are a C0 and we are a triple crowned. So we have 2500 defense, 5100 and 200 ER. Pretty good if you'd ask me. We have Shinyun on almost 3200 attack. No crit rate. 180 ER on Oathsworn Eye. And we're mainly focusing on attack percent and ER, nothing else really matters. E0 once again, and 9 on the burst for the healing. Nahida, again, the usual triple crown, C2. Deepwood, one of the cracked Deepwood, one of the best Deepwood builds there is out there, I think. With 1040 Dream signature weapon, very decent ratio, a good amount of EM, and that's about it for that one. Miko with almost 100-200 on the signature weapon with a good chunk of EM as well. We are on Gilded because we are playing on field, and as you can see the build is pretty good if you'd ask me. We are on C2 and we are triple crowned as well. Next up is Furina, 70, almost 81-70. We are on Flav, so that gives us another 16 crit rate. Our pieces are generally pretty good, but also they could be better probably. We are on C0 and we are double crowned. We have a D-look, we are crowned on the normals. A ratio looks bad, but we'll go to that later. Decent amount of attack as well. We are on Rain Pain Slasher. Again, really good specifically for vaping with him. And we are actually on 4-piece Maréchaussée. So our build is mainly focuses on EM substats and crit damage, because as much as those as we can, because crit rate and attack percent we'll get from other sources like Furina and Bennett and stuff like that. And we are on C3, but as you know, if you've ever looked at his constellation, it mainly focuses on his E damage and him as normal attacker, which is very different from what we're doing. So this constellation actually don't really matter for the damage, only his normal is what counts. We also had Fischl is C6, 12 failed on the talents on 4-piece Golden Trope. fairly decent build, not the best one. We are on Stringless, which is pretty good for the aggravate, 200 ER and an okay ratio. Not crazy, but it gets the job done. And we have Bennett, 200 ER, okay crit rate as well, on me splitter for the attack, and again, pieces mainly focusing on crits, HP percent, attack percent, ER, whatever I could come by. C6, because it actually makes the attacking window on Diluc a lot better, and we are crowned on the burst as well. And yeah, that is it for our builds, and now let's go over to what I would generally recommend. As I said before, I do think that Overload is pretty good. Whatever kind of team that you can do with Chevreuse can work for second. Also, another thing is that I did try Hyper Bloom. Granted, I have a C2 Nahida, but because first halves are so easy, I had over 2.5 minutes to chip away with Hyper Bloom and C2 Nahida, and I was barely making it. But granted, I was also barely making it with Diluc and his team. So that was okay. Like that can work, like Hyper Bloom can work, but you are trying to brute force through a shield that has a lot of resistance to any element before you break it. So it can work, but unless you have C2 Furina, I don't think, like Nahida, I don't think it will work. Another one that was interesting was Eula. Granted, I did use Zhongli because he is the best shielder all around for her. Like during those runs, I would very awkwardly normal attack with Diluc. For her, you don't have those times where you awkwardly normal attack because you want to normal attack on her anyway, and she does decent damage while doing that too. So if you can get like any form of like the Eula team to go, I think she's okay. Any form of Claymores that likes to normal attack on field can also work for second half, because again, second half is the biggest problem. Another one of the biggest problems on the first at least, is the fact that these guys all kind of like, mainly these two, less than the golems, like to kind of like go around and be separated from each other. So if you do have a Kazuha, I think it will make those sides slightly easier. But generally, from what I noticed, you have to use a Claymore character. That makes it a lot better. You can brute force these, like these two chambers, but they're a lot more difficult if you're trying to brute force, and I would very much recommend any form of blunt attacking, any form of overload, and Zhongli, if you have him, please use him, he's way too good for there. And for first, it is just laughable. Literally any form of DPS can work there. So just get a competent enough team that can clear it very fast, so that way you have a lot of time to think about what you do want to do for second. And yeah, that is kind of it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. I hope you maybe found it helpful, and I'll see you next time. Until then, bye!